The Microsoft Baseline Security Analyzer allows you to scan a single computer or a group of computers for security vulnerabilities. First thing you have to do is actually download that from Microsoft. You can just do a Google search for mbsa download and find the Microsoft page for downloading the mbsa. Once you download it and install it, you have a desktop icon for it. Let's go ahead and open this up. Here's the mbsa. And you'll notice that the Microsoft Baseline Security Analyzer can scan a single computer or a group of computers. Let's scan a single computer for security vulnerabilities. Now you can select which computer to scan based on the computer name, which you'll notice is the NetBIOS compatible format domain/computer name, or you could specify an IP address directly. For the scanned report, the report name is a bunch of variables, but the report name will be based on the domain name, which here is called WestSim. The C stands for computer name. It'll be WestSim computer 1, and then T is time, so date and time. So you'll get the date and time of every report you make. Now, what will the mbsa scan for? Well, it will check for Windows vulnerabilities such as a enabled guest account, for example, or weak passwords. IIS and SQL will skip because we don't have IIS or SQL installed on this computer. And we can also check for security updates. Security updates are what you get from Windows Update. So critical security patches since a service pack release. And if you're using SUS, you can instead use SUS to compare your currently installed security updates list against. If we uncheck this, it's going to assume the full list available from Windows Update. So let's go ahead and do a scan and see what happens. And with the scan complete, we can take a look at the output. So for our security report here, it tells you the computer you scanned, an IP address, name of the report, which can be useful at a later time, the scan date and time, etc. And then you can scroll down and get the results. One thing to check is the security assessment. That's kind of the overall grand assessment. Is that I am at severe risk? Oh no, one or more critical checks has failed. Let's see what the mbsa security report has to say about my computer here. Okay, so we've got a red X here saying that 2 security updates are missing or could not be confirmed. Let's just keep scrolling. So green check marks are of course good. Yellow is kind of a cautionary report. It tells me what my automatic update setting is. The automatic update setting I have is that I will automatically download new updates but not automatically install them. And so they're giving me a cautionary warning here that perhaps I should say to download automatically and install automatically. That would be more secure according to the mbsa. Password expiration. 4 user accounts have non-expiring passwords. That's not a good security practice. You'll check your file system to see if you're using NTFS. You'll check for ICF. Is the guest account enabled? How many administrator accounts are there? So it checks a wide variety of security issues. Auditing, services. Now I've got blue here. It says some potentially unnecessary services are installed. Let's get result details on that. So more information on that. It's saying that I've got the Telnet service installed and the World Wide Web service installed, that I perhaps might not want those installed because they are frequently attacked services. But in this case, Telnet is stopped, and that's acceptable. World Wide Web's running, I believe, because we have IIS running, so that should be okay. That's why it's blue and not a red X. It tells you about the shares in your computer, the version of your computer. It's a lot of information here in the mbsa. Okay, so I've got another red X here saying that I'm not using the enhanced security configuration. It's a new feature for 2003 server to restrict the website's IE goes to for administrators that are logged on as administrator. So I actually uninstalled that because when you open up Internet Explorer, this is not enabled. When you open up Internet Explorer and you go to a website, the website could have potentially harmful content that would download to your computer. Perhaps, I mean, if you're on a 2003 server, and you download information from a bad website, that could compromise your computer. So the idea is on a 2003 server to restrict access to websites in Internet Explorer. That's there by default. I uninstall it. That's why we have a red X mark there. So scrolling back up, really the most serious vulnerability here is the fact that we're not up to date with our patches. And with internet worms out there like Blaster and other things, you certainly want to have your computers up to date with patches at all times if possible. So 2 updates are missing or cannot be confirmed. Let's see the result details of this. Okay, so it's saying I do not have an update 832.894. I also don't have an update 819.696. So to fix this, I can go out to Windows Update. Well, what I did is I actually uninstalled these on purpose, just for the purpose of the mbsa. And my computer's actually already downloaded these updates again from Windows Update through automatic updates. So to fix this, I can simply go out to Windows Update. So we'll open up Internet Explorer here. Tools, Windows Update. And here's Windows Update. It's checking to see if I have the Windows Update software. And I can now scan for updates. Now, if my theory is correct and the mbsa is correct, I should have 2 critical updates to install, 2 security patches to install. Okay, so Windows Update has done its scan of my computer. Actually, it says only 1 critical update needs to be installed for my computer. So let's check out that critical update that they recommend. And it does happen to be number 832.894. Let's go back to mbsa and check our report. There's 832.894, so it's not installed. That's why I have a red X. And what it's saying down here for the other one is just that it could not confirm it as installed. And this kind of error message can happen sometimes with the catalogs getting out of date or not being totally synced up with each other. Basically, though, we can double check this. We can go to Add Remove Programs in Control Panel. We're looking for 819.696, and there it is. There's 819.696. So it is actually installed. It's just that the mbsa, the XML file it gets from Microsoft, sometimes is not up to date, and it simply says it couldn't tell if it was installed or not. So back to the mbsa, when you have the red X, you certainly want to double check those and make sure that they are installed from Windows Update. I'm going to, in fact, go ahead and start that process and install that critical update. So back to our mbsa report. We've got the report, and that's great. We can pick a security report to view, and we should see our 1 report we've done so far. Let's try a multiple computer scan this time. With a multiple computer scan, you specify a range of IP addresses to scan. I'm going to specify a range of 192.168.1.241 to .244. So there's 4 computers there. We'll check all 4 for Windows vulnerabilities, weak passwords, IIS, and for critical updates and security patches. This scan may take a little longer to complete. Okay, and the mbsa has finished its scan, and here is our report of all 4 computers that we've just scanned. So we can check each one of these computers for vulnerabilities. They all seem to be at severe risk, but you really have to take that with a grain of salt because the mbsa is very touchy. If one thing is off, you can get a severe risk. So we already checked out computer 1. Let's check out one of the other computers. Let's say computer 3, for example. So we did the scan of computer 3. Here's the report for computer 3. And computer 3 is missing, again, 2 security updates. Well, it says 2 updates are missing or could not be confirmed. Result details will find the exact same 2 things we had before. So this new hotfix, 832.894, that's actually brand new. Therefore, none of my computers have that just yet. And then the other one, it simply can't tell. It's installed. The mbsa just can't tell if it's installed. So for high security, then you'd want to double check and make sure that it is installed. You can check that by going to Control Panel, Add Remove Programs. And so we'll see a similar level of security as we had for computer 1. Ooh, actually we have a new one here. We have a couple accounts with blank or simple passwords. That could be bad, so you'd want to double check that and configure that. So administrator is a weak password. Now, a couple other things to remember about the MBSA that are very important. One is that you must be a local administrator on the machine that has the MBSA. So if you want to run the MBSA, you must be at least a local admin on this machine. And then if you scan a remote computer, you must have local admin privilege on that computer as well. So if you're in a domain and you have domain admin privilege, domain admins are in the local admins group for every computer. Therefore, if you're a domain admin, you can run the MBSA on any computer in the domain. However, if you're in a workgroup configuration, you may be able to run the MBSA and start it up, but you will not be able to scan a remote computer unless you also put in the appropriate credentials for that remote computer. And finally, there's a command line version of the MBSA. If we search my computer here, we'll find in local disk F, program files, and Microsoft Baseline Security Analyzer. So wherever it installs to in that directory, we'll have the MBSA client. So there's MBSA, the GUI, MBSA command line interface .exe. So that's what you would run at the command line to run MBSA at the command line. So a quick example of that. Okay, so I ran the MBSA CLI with a /? mark, so you can see all of the options. Let's scroll back up here. Quite a few options. So there's a lot you can do with this at the command line. There's MBSA client, there's a /? mark. So for example, if we want to scan a particular IP address, we can do MBSA CLI /I and then list the IP address. And so it is now attempting to scan this particular IP address. While we're waiting, let's look at the other options for MBSA CLI at the command line. It's all the same options we had in the graphical. It's just that we have switches now for everything. So you can specify a particular named computer, IP address, range of IP addresses, computers in a particular domain. You can specify to scan for SQL vulnerabilities, IIS vulnerabilities, etc. That is, you can have those things not scanned for. A redirect output to a file. There's a large list of switches here, but basically anything you can do with the GUI you can do here at the command line, plus a few other things at the command line as well. It's still scanning, so we're waiting for the report to come out, and we'll see what happens. And the scan is now complete, so it gives you the computer name, IP address, we're at severe risk because of that missing security update, and the report name. And so we could go back in and review the report. And that's basically the MBSA then.